Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Asim Hussain, and I am the Executive Director of the Green Software Foundation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Namrata, and I'm the Director of Communications and Member Relations at the Green Software Foundation. Welcome to the Carbon Hack 24 Closing and Awards Ceremony. For the next 60 minutes, we'll celebrate the innovations and winners of this year's hackathon and hear from industry leaders on their approach on software measurement and what it's going to take to get everyone in the industry measuring software to minimize its emissions and other environmental impacts. To any newcomers to the GSF, welcome. To returning friends, supporters, and contributors, we're so happy to see you here. For those of you who are new, I'm going to take a quick minute to introduce you to the Foundation. We're on a mission to decarbonize software and minimize its environmental impacts. The strides we've made so far are a testament to over 60 member organizations across industry worldwide, working together across our working groups and projects to build knowledge, standards, tools, and best practices for a future where software has zero harmful effects on the environment. Carbon Hack would not have been possible without the support and leadership of our steering members, who I'd like to shout out right now: Accenture, Avanade, BCG, GitHub, Intel, Microsoft, NTT Data, Siemens, and UBS. In a short while, you'll hear from some of them during our panels.
Thanks, Namrata, and I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors this year: Accenture, Amadeus, Aviva, BCGX, Century Software, IMDA, Nedbank South Africa, and NTT Data. 100% of the $40,000 we have in total cash prizes goes towards celebrating exceptional use and contributions made by Carbon Hack participants across 6 categories. Before we get into sharing the winners, I'll offer a quick overview of the hackathon and impact framework, the software measurement tool from the GSF, which underpinned the whole event. Carbon Hack 24 was all about redefining how we measure software for sustainability. You might be asking, why focus on measurement? Without a clear understanding of how software affects the climate, we can't strategically target areas for improvement. The way we measure software impacts the scale of change that we can accomplish. Getting it right prepares us to navigate emerging frontiers like AI. Until now, no single solution has managed to calculate software's impacts across all components, across all environments. Impact Framework is an open source tool to measure software, and it attempts to do just that, be it for carbon emissions, water, land use, or other environmental impacts. Here's a brief video that introduces the power and potential of this tool.
Impact Framework is a way to compute and report the environmental impacts of software applications accurately. It takes observations you can easily gather about running systems, such as CPU utilization, page views, or number of installs, and converts them into environmental impacts like carbon, water, and energy in an auditable, replicable, verifiable, and transparent way. Working with Impact Framework is like working with a set of building blocks we call plugins. Plugins work together in a pipeline, each doing its part in converting observations into impacts. The plugin ecosystem is growing fast. You choose the plugins that calculate the specific environmental impact you're interested in. You can use plugins from the ecosystem or develop your own. Simply add them to your pipeline. With Impact Framework, the possibilities are as expansive as the ecosystem it thrives in. The magic happens in the manifest file, a comprehensive record housing your observations, plugins, configuration, assumptions, and computed environmental impact. Transparency becomes the norm as you open up your manifest file. Using Impact Framework is like sharing the entire recipe instead of just the finished dish. We believe in verify, don't trust. Others can rerun your manifest file, verify your findings, or even challenge your assumptions. When you use Impact Framework, you are taking a step towards decentralizing impact measurement and democratizing data. Something big is happening here. We're liberating measurement. With Impact Framework, if we can observe something, we can measure its impact. What observations can you make about the software you want to measure?
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie. I'm the Senior Technical Project Manager at the Green Software Foundation. Over 65 project teams worked to showcase the best application of Impact Framework and chose to compete across one of 6 categories this year. Beyond Carbon, recognizing submissions that showcase the application of Impact Framework beyond carbon, including water, waste, and air quality impacts. Best Plugin, awarding the best model plugin that supports and enhances the Impact Framework model plugin environment. Best Content, celebrating the best piece of content published about Impact Framework, be it an article, tutorial, video, or how-to guide. Best Contribution to the framework, celebrating solutions, proving to elevate the developer experience, and making Impact Framework more user-friendly and efficient. Best Undergraduate, a specific prize for outstanding projects from undergraduate students drawn from across all award categories. And Best Under 18, a dedicated prize for exceptional projects by students under the age of 18, drawn again across all award categories.
Before we dive into our first panel discussion and set of awards, I'm going to run through our agenda very quickly. First, I'll go over our code of conduct, and before introducing our panel featuring Accenture, Amadeus, IMDA, and Sentry Software. After our first panel, we are going to announce the winners of the first 3 categories: Best Content, Best Contribution, and Beyond Carbon. We're then going to welcome our second set of panelists featuring Aviva, BCG, NTT Data, and NTT Data. And then we are going to announce the last 3 winners for Best Undergrad Under 18, Best Undergraduate, and Best Plugin. And then finally, before we wrap up, we'll share a really exciting announcement for what's next, so make sure you hang around. Code of conduct, general rules of thumb for those interacting in the chat on YouTube. Be kind, be respectful, and have an open mind.
Thank you, Namrata. All important reminders. I'm thrilled to announce and introduce our first panel today. Here we'll listen to host Jean-Baptiste Paquel, Policy Lead at Electricity Maps, discussing with our 4 panelists their real-life experiences in measuring software to make their applications and solutions more sustainable, highlighting the successes and challenges that they faced. The panelists are Bertrand Martin, CEO of Sentry Software, Eleanor Guitt, Sustainable Engineering Advocate at Amadeus, Clifton Fuhr, Director of Labs, BizTech Group at IMDA, and Ioannis Kolaxis, Director, Technology, Sustainability, Innovation at Accenture. Take it away, Jean-Baptiste.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Baptiste Paquel, working from Electricity Maps, and I'm very happy to sit today virtually with 4 big champions of decarbonization of the software industry, 4 champions who have very complementary and different profiles and who are going to tell us about their real-life experience, the successes and challenges they met while trying to decarbonize the software sector. So I will start today with Bertrand. Bertrand Martin, you're the CEO of Sentry Software, and 20 years ago, actually, this year, you launched a modular monitoring solution for server storage and network. So you are, first of all, happy birthday to the solution, and 20 years is very ambitious. You're a pioneer in measurement of the impact of computers and softwares. So what did these 20 years teach you? What did you find out? How do your clients take off with now this quite mature thing that you're proposing to them?
Well, that's a very good question, Jean-Baptiste. Yeah, it's been 20 years, and I remember when we first started with the model to calculate the carbon emissions, energy usage and carbon emissions of servers. We published that in 2008, but then, financial crisis, and then, other topics had a priority in IT. And then, much later, we had COVID, etc. But our customers, large organizations mostly, are finally showing a real interest in measuring the energy usage of their IT and the corresponding carbon emissions. It's about time, I want to say. And so we show them how they can leverage the metrics that we collect to measure the energy usage and carbon emissions of their physical infrastructure. However, well, it's kind of funny. Even customers who have nothing in place, to measure their carbon footprint, well, very quickly they ask for more. Like, can we measure the energy usage of a VM, of my VMs? We have containers. What about this? My application is behind, I don't know, a load balancer, reverse proxy, whatever, or they leverage a third-party online services, etc., etc. And people expect, nowadays, people expect these sort of things to be solved already. But when you look for information, for models, for solutions, you realize that calculating the carbon footprint of a software, well, it's an unsolved equation. And that's where the impact framework from the Green Software Foundation would be of a great help. That's what I've been taught in all these years. So I'm very excited about this.
Thanks, Bertrand. Eleonore, I saw you nodding. So you, Eleonore, you're in charge of transforming the way that Amadeus, which is a large software company working on solutions for travel, is thinking about its software and the impact that all of its products has. So your job is to get this transformation in every team and on every desk. How do you react to what Bertrand just said, and what are the challenges that you are seeing in your everyday job?
Yeah, indeed, I was nodding because when you said your customers are craving ways and solutions to measure, this is the same that happens with our internal teams. So basically, we've started our green IT, green software transformation 2 years ago, roughly. And we really see it as a big cultural transformation. So we're taking it step by step. Our first step of the journey is to make sure that everybody is aware of the problem we're trying to solve. So we are using, for example, the Climate Fresk workshop to make everyone aware of the situation we're in. Because you can't ask people to take action if they don't understand what you're asking them to do, really. And then once we feel everybody understands the stakes, we move to something where we engage people with the right skills, the right trainings, really based on their profile. Because as Jean-Baptiste said, we're a big tech company and we have a lot of different teams. We have developers, but not only. We have the design teams, we have the DevOps, we have the architects, and everybody has different angles on green software. So we try to provide everybody with the skills they need. And while doing so, the one question that we get all the time is, okay, but how do we measure? So everybody is kind of craving these measurements. And the way we took that challenge is that very quickly, very early on, we partnered with the Green Software Foundation, and we found that the software carbon intensity methodology was super promising. And because we have many different technologies, we are in the process of migrating all our solutions to the public cloud. But today we have different types of hostings, etc. We felt that the easiest for us was to build our own engine based on the models from the Green Software Foundation and the SCI. So that's what we're doing. We're building our engine, and it's great to see how people spontaneously wish to contribute to that and come up with their own use cases and their own problems and want to move that forward. So it's really a great energy, and we're super excited to see what's coming out of the hackathon and the impact framework, because we have benefited so much already from the work of the community.
Thanks, Eleonore. So Clifton now, so Bertrand and Eleonore, they just mentioned how enthusiastic their clients or their teams inside their company are when it comes to looking at some data and seeing the impact of what they are doing. You, on the other hand, you're in charge of transforming a whole country. So do you also see that? Is it shared, or is it only the first movers who are today really interested by these topics?
Yes, so Jean-Baptiste, so we are the industry champion in Singapore, and we have actually started running a pilot program to fund green software trials in Singapore to measure carbon emissions and also encourage rigorous software, green software practices. However, we did not mandate the use of the impact framework, but we did learn some lessons from rolling out this pilot program. I'd like to add, we also are beginning to use impact framework and SCI because we are actually fine-tuning and deploying industry-specific LLMs or large language models for a particular industry. So we do find that it's actually not easy for us to measure the carbon footprint of LLMs. So, for example, because there's training of the LLMs, there's inference of the LLMs, and also we use different providers. So we are learning to use the software carbon intensity for our generative AI work at this moment.
Thanks. And you, Ioannis, you're a global champion of carbon-aware computing. You're going across the world to conferences and you write books about the topic to sensibilize. So we've heard a lot now about measurement, but what do you think, what do you see people doing with these measurements? Do you see already this, which is 20 years old now, at least for Bertrand's product, do you see it translating into real life avoided carbon emissions and economies of scale?
Yeah, thank you, Jean-Baptiste, for the question. So what we see is that more and more customers, more and more clients want to measure their carbon emissions and they want to reduce them. However, the challenge is always what tools should they use? What is the methodology used by these tools, and where do the data come from? So it's a, we have these three dimensions: the software tools, the methodology, and the data collected in order to calculate these carbon emissions. So it's a three-way problem, if we can call it that way. And we see that the Green Software Foundation is contributing significantly in achieving these goals. The impact framework is one of these tools that can help scale the measurement across the software industry, and also the software carbon intensity recently became an ISO standard. This is also a useful framework that can be used by everyone in the industry on calculating their carbon emissions.
Bertrand, you want to add on that? I see that you seem to agree with Ioannis.
I do agree. It raises the question of standards, actually, where we have to agree, all of us, on the different players in this field, on how to represent things, how to calculate things. Don't have to agree on everything actually, but to offer a transparent way of saying how we calculate that, how we measure that, etc. So we need standards on how to make sure every different collection mechanism, agents, tools, etc., communicate together to, in the end, produce something that we understand. So we need standards. And I personally, I'm a strong supporter of open telemetry. It's the new open source standard for observability, because measuring the carbon emissions in software, really, it's making the energy and carbon emissions observable. That's a new mantra in what we used to call monitoring. It's observable, to be able to trace not just the memory utilization or CPU utilization of a transaction of a software, but also its energy usage. And I'm very, very happy to see that the Green Software Foundation is going to collaborate with the Open Telemetry team and the CNCF folks to create a standard here. And some basic stuff, how to name metrics, etc. And I'm sure this will help a lot.
Now, about the people. So Eleonore, you actually have a quite interesting profile. You have a PhD, correct me if I'm wrong, in archaeology, and you actually are interested in the bio, and you're interested in the way that social sciences really help transformations. So what do you have to tell us? What does it take to get people interested to change the culture of an industry like you're trying to do?
Okay, I was not expecting that question, but it's actually a very good one. So indeed, on my free time, I like to explore how, well, very practically, how narratives can help us shape social norms, etc. And it's true that it does apply to some extent to the transformation we're trying to do. What we've noticed, so I mentioned it earlier, actually, that people need to have a purpose to understand what they are contributing to. So it's very important to give them the broader context of what we expect them to do, and not just ask them to do things without them grasping the meaning or the purpose of what they're doing. But also there are many tricks that we use to trigger that cultural transformation. First, we use a lot the concept of proximity, because I am the green software advocate for Amadeus, for the whole company, but we are more than 10,000 people in the world, so I cannot just go myself and speak to everyone individually. So we have a network of ambassadors, and we rely on them a lot to be like the proxies and make sure that by proximity people get the information that they need, but also they are influenced to take action. And also we use a lot of nudges, let's say. We can't, in the Green IT team centrally, we can't try and minimize the emissions of the whole company. What we can try to do is gamify a bit the approach and invite people to do stuff. So we have these campaigns, for example, where we invite people to submit ideas and we pick the best ones for funding, and we have a jury. And by the way, Asim Hussein from the GSF was part of our jury last time. That was fantastic. And that helps people take action. So we try to use these nudges.
Thanks. And so this is the award ceremony for the hackathon, and probably a lot of the participants are listening to us now. So thank you, first of all, to everyone for participating and for finding new ideas. Yep, that's good. But I'm sure they would be very interested with your vantage points. So any of you who would like to say what still misses? What is the next thing beyond what we have just discussed? To make a carbon aware and measurement of the software industry a reality that is widely shared?
Yes, so well, I think that we should look at it from a business incentive point of view. So green software can also translate into substantial cost savings due to energy reduction and lower operational costs. Also, I think that most of the measurements right now are usually for software in production. So I believe that there are opportunities to assess potential carbon footprint of software during the design stage so that someone or a company can make informed choices about the code structure, algorithms, or resource utilization to minimize emissions from the very beginning.
Thanks, Eleanor.
So at Amadeus, where we are is that we have implemented our carbon measurement engine. It's not perfect yet, but it's there. And now we are in a situation where we're like, okay, and now what? So I think what's missing or what we need to work on is a complementary approach, because being able to measure is one thing and it's super important to be able to do that. But now we need to understand how do we make these measurements actionable? And I think it goes through first identifying for each job profile and each moment of the development cycle the right use case to use these measurements. Maybe some people need to see them as more in a forecasting mode of whatever decisions they're making. Some people need them for reporting purposes. Some people need them for their daily applicative monitoring. So we need to tailor the way we display and we give access to these measures depending on what we want to do with them. And also, I believe we need complementary tools because it's one thing to know if your software emits a lot or if it's very efficient. It's another to know if you can do something about it. Maybe sometimes you have applications that emit a significant amount, but they're really at the top of what they can be in terms of design and optimization. And some could be the contrary. So we need complementary tools to help people take action and identify what they can do about it.
Ioannis, you wanted to intervene too?
Yeah, so often there is a misunderstanding, and we see that we perform one-off measurements once or maybe twice a year. But this is not really helpful. What we aspire is that software development teams can continuously monitor their carbon emissions and notice any fluctuations in the carbon emissions after they release a new bug fix or after they release a new feature. That's really critical for our software industry. And as Bertrand mentioned previously, this is what we call observability. So there is a long way that we need to cover there to raise awareness of how every software development team needs to continuously monitor their carbon emissions.
I just wanted to add that our measurements, the monitoring, the observability has to reflect all the factors that come in to calculate the carbon emissions, the energy usage of the software. Because then when we ask developers, administrators, etc., to do some kind of optimization, resource optimization, software optimization, to make sure that this optimization is reflected in the measure, because as Eleanor said, if we're kind of gamifying the optimization, well, when you do some effort to optimize your software, you want that to be shown and displayed. This score is better now. It's consuming less energy and is emitting less carbon emissions.
Thanks everyone for virtually sitting with me for this great discussion. I was very happy to share it with you, and back to the award ceremony now.
Thank you, Jean-Baptiste, for facilitating such a phenomenal panel. Electricity Maps was an important part of the hackathon this year, providing API keys to access historical carbon intensity data to our participants. And of course, thank you to the panelists, Bertrand, Eleanor, Clifton, and Ioannis for this fantastic discussion full of insights. Thank you also to the four of you for joining the judging team this year, helping to decide which hackathon teams won each of the prizes. So without further ado, it's time to announce our prize winners. It is my pleasure to introduce the winner of our first prize, the Best Content category. In this category, we were looking for the best educational content published about Impact Framework, a case study applying Impact Framework to a domain, a tutorial, or a video. The nominees for best content published about impact framework and winners of a $6,500 cash prize are C-, evaluating large language models' carbon footprints, Greener Meat, assessing energy and carbon in Zoom conferences, and Web Sprouts, measuring and reporting the carbon impact of a website. And the winner is C-. Congratulations. Unfortunately, nobody from C-, was able to join us here today. So we want to share a few of the judges' remarks. The judges said, given the high carbon footprint of LLMs, this idea has the potential to help our industry measure the environmental impact of training LLMs. They also said it's very relevant to apply sustainability and environmental impacts to the recent technological advances in large language models. And another judge said it's got a very high potential impact since large language models are consuming large amounts of electricity and energy for both training and inference. And of course, the explosive growth in LLM interest and deployments. Congratulations again, C-.
A huge congratulations to our first winner then today. Hi all, I'm Russ. I'm a project manager here at the GSF, and it is my great pleasure today to introduce the best contribution category. So that's any software solution that helps make Impact Framework easier to use. And the nominees for the best contribution category and the $6,500 prize are Clean Green Devs, who enhanced the Impact Framework's control, access and onboarding. Green High-Tech Innovators with the Green Mile, streamlining Impact Framework's accessibility. And Manifest Wizard, who supported setting up the plugin pipeline. And the winner is Clean Green Devs. A huge congratulations to Wilco, Keys, Turn and Thom for their project, which tackled a number of Impact Framework challenges and included a really interesting electric vehicle sustainability case study. And I believe we have Thern from the team with us today, and congratulations on winning the prize. And how does it feel to win this category today?
Oh, that's great. That's great. We actually didn't really expect it while seeing the competition. We saw a great contribution for the competition. I'm thinking.
I think we've lost your audio there, Thern. Okay, well, while we're getting back, just as Sophie said, the judges were very complimentary about this particular prize. They sort of marked its comprehensiveness, and they talked about the EV vehicle example demonstrating really the flexibility of the Impact Framework and how it can be extended in such creative ways. They also provided a great API feature which combined innovative use cases for the plugins. So unfortunately, Tom wasn't able to accept today, but huge congratulations to him and everybody else on the team.
Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Ashara. I'm a senior PM at the GSF, and this is actually my second week at the foundation. I couldn't have asked for a more exciting first couple of weeks, and I am excited to announce the winner in the Beyond Carbon category. This is a plugin that enables people to measure impacts beyond carbon, for example, air quality, land use, and water. The winner of this category also receives a generous cash prize of $6,500. The nominees are GRASP, which converts carbon emissions into easier to grasp values, OpenCast Carbon 24, which is an environmental impact risk scorecard, and Terabyte, which measures the land use intensity of software. And the winner in the Best Beyond Carbon category is OpenCast Carbon 24. I believe we have Adam with us to say a few words.
Hi, thank you. That's very unexpected. We've got a bit of feedback there, sorry. But yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to take part. It's been a great learning path for our developers who didn't know much about the impact framework before we started. And they've really learned a lot about both the impact framework and like the other environmental effects like that can be attributed to software. So yeah, thank you to everybody in the team who did the real work.
Audio.
There we go. Thank you so much. Congratulations to the winners so far. Congratulations to Opencast especially. Measuring AI is such an important and relevant topic. And moving the conversation beyond carbon into other environmental impacts is something I'm deeply passionate about. So I'm really excited to see those solutions proposed and win so far. Thank you for the winners and everybody who's taken part in those categories so far. To me, you're all winners. Next up, I'm excited to welcome our second and final panel today, hosted by Srini from Microsoft. Microsoft is a steering member of the Green Software Foundation and was a huge partner in this year's hackathon, providing complimentary Azure credits to participants. Join me in welcoming our panelists, Raghu Krovidi, Associate Director at BCGX, Daniel Lazaro, Senior Technical Program Manager at Aviva, and Gadu Sundaram, Vice President Application Services at NTT Data UK. Srini, take it away.
So here we are, and it's an awesome ensemble of panelists we have to talk about what is top of mind from them for the software measurement perspective. Question will be common across all of you. So the first question that I have, what challenges do you face in measuring software in the real world perspective? What challenges are customers facing? What are your, and what do you see as key turning areas for this?
So let me start. Being an IT services provider, we look at it from two lenses. One is the sustainability of our own IT services. And the other one is how can we help our customers reduce their emissions through their digital services. But the challenges that we've seen are common across all of this. One is we need a clear intent and a goal top down, which is that push. So that the business case becomes very, very viable. The next is the standardization, because that's a very complex area of so many different standards. So we need organizations to agree and accept certain standards. The SEI we see goes a long way towards that. So the adoption, acceptance of standards, right, is very important. The third is that with the rise of the cloud and SaaS models, software has become a very complex supply chain, where the kind of transparency, availability of these particular standards across the supply chain is important. So that's where we have standards when you're a service is available at the end of an API, but you don't know what's behind it. So the availability of these standards across is important. So these are some of the key challenges that we faced. Internally, from sustainability within our services, we've set some clear goals. We have a very particular goal of reducing the emissions from our digital services by 60% based on a 2016 baseline, for example. But that's something that we need from the buyers as well. right? So that will help us actually, like, sort of scale the measurement of software.
Thank you. Thanks, Kadu. I think that's very interesting because you give the perspective of both from a customer as well as what it means for you as an organization. I would next like to take some inputs from Raghu now. What do you think? Do you see same challenges or different coming from where you operate?
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Srini. I think it's a great question, and as Gadu mentioned, PCG is in a similar space. So we are a strategic consulting firm. Historically, we've been offering strategic management consulting services to our clients, but in the last, say, 5-6 years, we've been doing more of digital work as well. So we encounter similar set of challenges like what Gadu has mentioned. But I would like to take two different lenses to this, right? One is the nature of the work which we do. We build a lot of internal projects like accelerators, capabilities which we can bring to our customers. And the second is more external client facing, as in we start anywhere from building a proof of concept to scaling solutions to an enterprise grade level. There is a lot more control for us when we are building internal solutions, because that is where we have a lot more control in our selection of software, the selection of tooling, enforcing some of these standards and best practices. And so it's a matter of us educating internally to our workforce to create software in a sustainable manner. When it comes to the client external facing initiatives, we don't have as much control. Most of the times our clients are emphasizing value, time to market, and KPIs, which they have their own metrics, and sustainability is not a top metric for most of our clients. So it's our job to educate our clients to enforce the benefits of sustainability and also influence them to apply the similar kind of metrics and best practices which we are applying on our internal accelerators and initiatives, to apply them on our casework as well.
That's awesome. And I think these are really, really two perspectives, and leading into Daniel, who, is part of Aviva and in many ways, is championing Green Software Foundation for themselves. What do you think as a customer and as a person who's driving this through your organization as a change management initiative? What do you think are the most important challenges that needs to be addressed?
Well, thank you. First of all, I would like to congratulate Garu and the overall standards group at the Green Software Foundation for pushing the SCI calculation framework to become an ISO standard. I believe and agree that standards is an integral part of this process. We as a software provider, we have been reporting on carbon emissions for a while. And our challenges in particular lie from the perspective that we sell our software products to our customers, but we do not control the hardware on which they run our software. We also do not control how they source the power that they use to run that software. So what we had to do was to come up with a novel way to accurately measure the energy consumption of our software, where we isolated the software away from the hardware. And we share this method with the Green Software Foundation. We've been going through all of our on-prem portfolio, and our calculations show that we've actually are emitting a lot less carbon and are consuming a lot less power that we originally estimated. And the second part, I think, is once you've measured and you have an idea on, how much carbon your software emits, you also have to assess the greenness of it. So am I writing my code in a way that is good for the environment? So we're also doing a second step, which is using the patterns and practices from the Green Software Foundation to assess the maturity of our software. And based on that, and together with the measurements we're taking, we're now encouraging the teams to improve our software to make it greener. So that'll be our approach as a software provider at Aviva.
That's really awesome, Daniel, because I really saw you connecting the dots there with the measurement, the patterns, and going back to what Raghu was talking about earlier, right? Sustainability as a metric, which really comes back to question that it's really on the top of mind of everyone who's attending this conference is the impact framework, right? All three of you talked about measurement as being one of the important starting points to be able to make that next step towards making a difference in writing better code, making a difference in being using less hardware. So again, this is a question, maybe I'll again start with you, Gadu. With the impact framework projects that you have seen and how you have seen it grow, where do you see it? Where do you see it today versus a couple of years back? And what do you see are the key, improvement areas that you want the tool to bring in as we move along?
So for me, this is let me go a couple of years where a lot of the people in the software community got stuck in the complex regulations, metrics, etc., to try and understand what is it that we have to measure and how do I measure it, right? So, and that's not right, like, their core skill. So it's come a huge way. I think that's the challenge where you take that issue out of their hands, you solve it for them. So here's the standard, here's the measurement, and here are the principles, and here's why, right? So once you make that clear, and once you engage with the software community to increase their awareness and enable them, they'll come up with all sorts of ways to solve the technical issues. And that's what we've seen with the impact framework, where once you've given them, use the SEI, here's the standard, and here's the IF impact framework, here's what you do. They've come up with wonderful ideas to say that, like, sort of to measure containerized workloads or storage or like, all these things. So you can trust them to come up with that. So I think that's the key. And once you have both these things, once you make the measurement of these KPIs mandatory, so make them as part of your non-functional requirements. So that push is there. So they're not thinking of if I should do it. So they are doing it. Then, like, you provide them with this ecosystem of frameworks and tools and KPIs. They know what to measure, and then I think that, like, that'll increase the adoption.
Awesome. That great insights, Gadu. Thank you so much. Coming to you, Raghu, how do you see, like, in terms of impact framework, or how do you see these things helping customers at scale? Are these sufficient tools, or do you think more are required? What are your perspectives coming from a consulting organization?
I think I see more, I take a more data-driven approach. And I think the fact that we have measurements, we have something qualitative and quantitative to measure ourselves against is a phenomenal idea, which we can expand on and we can continue to leverage and improve on an ongoing basis to make sure that we are making progress in the right direction. If you can't really measure something, then it becomes a qualitative metric, and then it's really hard for you to quantify it and kind of speak very tangibly to it. So the other thing which I would also like to mention is about really large enterprises now stepping up to the game and in a way being very, very competitive to each other when it comes to sustainability metrics, right? Whether it is your very recent Apple ad, which came in through, like, the Mother Earth ad, which Apple has come in for the Super Bowl. I think that is increasing the awareness, not just in the enterprise level, for organizations who are really going to, like, these green climate change conferences only, but also at the consumer level. As each one of us are aware of the fact of the impact of software, the impact of hardware, the impact of technology in general on environment, we take it seriously. We ask our own employers, we talk to our coworkers. It becomes a coffee conversation. It becomes a water cooler conversation. And that is what is very, very important, because you not only are applying this from a top-down approach standpoint, but also from a bottom-up. And as that happens, there's going to be a lot more awareness. There's going to be a lot more consciousness within the employees of any given enterprise, whether it's a small enterprise, medium enterprise, or a large enterprise. And that is how I see the future of the impact framework. Now, the other part, which I really, really enjoyed as part of this journey through the hackathon, is the beyond carbon submissions, right? If you really look at it, some of these are really technical metrics. Not everybody understands these, but there are teams, to Gadu's point, right? People are very, very creative. They are coming up with measuring the sustainability metrics with something really easy to understand in the form of coffee consumptions and bananas and what have you, right? Yes, land utilization, water utilization, something which we can all relate to. I think relating to the individuals to show them the benefit of sustainability metrics will go a long way. And I think we have a lot more work to be done. And I'm very, very optimistic that the GSF and the impact framework is going to evolve and take us there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Raghu, for that. Daniel, to you. I want to actually twist a little bit there. Do you want to have any insights on how today everyone is talking about AI, everyone is talking about large language models? Anyway, do you think, or what is available in the community, how we can use large language models to our benefit to making impact framework and carbon measurement, or even like Raghu said, beyond carbon measurement, make any smarter? Any thoughts from your end?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I would like to start by saying that I think two things need to happen for larger adoption of the impact framework. I think the crucial first step is regulation. We need the regulators to start demanding that companies report. And once companies realize that they have to report, they're going to be looking for the right tooling. And that's where the impact framework comes in. Related to AI, and more specific to your question, we've seen some really interesting submissions around how to calculate emissions derived from AI, LLMs, and other AI software. We're going to see in the coming years, and as we're seeing today, different types of software emerging that are very different from the past softwares we've seen in the past. And we're going to need frameworks that are flexible and able to do those calculations. So on one hand, we've seen some interesting submissions around AI. Two, we've seen really interesting submissions around plugins that will expand the impact framework, that will make it easy for users to adopt it. So it is really nice to see all of those coming in. And I think the next step will be to also apply AI to the impact framework itself, so that AI is also baked into the tooling. So I think all of those things is something that we're already seeing and we would like to see coming up in the future.
I think we've had a great conversation today. I think everyone will take away interesting perspectives from really three renowned people in this call. So thank you so much for joining us, Gadu, Daniel, and Raghu, and hope you have a great session.
Thank you, Srini, for hosting that panel, and to all our panelists and judges, Raghu, Daniel, and Gadu, for all your insights. I'm so glad we had an opportunity to dive deeper into the challenges and opportunities facing software measurement. Continue to share your questions and thoughts with us, and we will adjust your questions and comments after the event. All right, it's time to introduce the winner of the Under 18 category. This was the first year we opened up the hackathon to students, and we're so glad we did. We were delighted to see the next generation participate and deliver solutions comparable, if not better, to those from today's practitioners. The winner of this category receives a cash prize of $4,000. And the nominees are CPU Weir, a solution to improve the accuracy of CPU utilization data, and Greener Meat, a solution for assessing energy and carbon in Zoom conferences. And the winner in the Under 18 category is Greener Meat, a solution for assessing energy and carbon in Zoom conferences. A big congratulations. I know the team is likely in school at the moment and unable to attend, but just wanted to say the judges were overwhelmed with how stellar their submission was. On to Ashara.
Great. Congratulations, Greener Meat. I'm back again to introduce the winner of the penultimate category, Best Undergraduate. Like the previous category, the undergraduate category recognises the best submissions from undergrad students drawn from across the main categories. The nominees are Code Green for their manifest generator and Sustainable Farm, which had a PUE plugin. And the winner is Code Green. Congratulations. I believe that Fabian might be here to say a few words. Hi, well done.
Thank you very much. I'm really grateful that I won the prize. I enjoyed participating very much, especially because it was my first hackathon. And yeah, I think it was really cool to learn about this interesting and promising project. And I hope I could contribute to make it a little bit better. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Code Green. All right, I'm really excited to present the nominees and winners for Best Plugin. This is the category I've been most excited about. Participants who chose this category really had to understand Impact Framework's purpose and potential. The total prize fund was $12,500. Here are the nominees that developed a plugin that best supports and enhances the Impact Framework ecosystem. First nominee is Code Green, Kubernetes import and visualization. Quick note, this is a different Code Green to the one that won the previous prize. There are actually two teams that submitted with the same name, Code Green. So there's a different team to the previous team. Just want to make sure that's clear. Envirometrics, who created a wonderful Prometheus importer. Project 16,000, parameter branching for scenario testing. Scott Logic DWP, who created a plugin for object storage carbon estimates. TechOps Deck, that created a Google Cloud importer. And WebPage Carbonara, who created a plugin to estimate the carbon impacts of a web page. With so many submissions in this category, we couldn't just pick one winner. We have a second and a third prize for Best Plugin. So the third prize, with a $2,000 cash award, goes to, drumroll, Project 16,000, parameter branching for scenario testing. Congratulations. And the second prize, with a $4,000 cash award, goes to Scott Logic, DWP, object storage, and carbon emissions. Congratulations to you both. They are amazing solutions. Thank you for your contributions to the plugin ecosystem. Now, the first prize with a $6,500 cash award goes to Code Green. So different Code Green to the one that won previously. So Code Green was a Kubernetes import and visualization tool. I believe we have Adam. Adam, welcome. Congratulations. Great to see you again. Congratulations on winning the award.
Yeah. Ooh, that echo is terrible. Let me just do this. Okay. Yeah, now I just want to say thank you to the Green Software Foundation and thank you to my team. This was a fantastic experience. This was great. Yeah. I know the Impact Framework is a tool that, well, in my role as kind of the Green Software Evangelist within NetBank, it's something I sorely needed, and I'm excited to see where it goes and how we can, keep on contributing and extending it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam, and thank you to your team. I love the solution. So again, congratulations to Code Green for winning Best Plugin. I also want to extend a huge thank you to all the teams that submitted projects, along with a shout out to our judges who are tasked with the almost impossible task of choosing to select a few to spotlight. They were very, very close. There were so many amazing submissions that we recommend everyone take a look at our Hackathon platform where you can find all of their amazing videos. As we close out this ceremony, I wanted to speak a little bit about the future of Impact Framework and how you can all stay involved with the project. But who are you? What do we call someone who uses Impact Framework? My term for our community is watchers. We observe, we take those observations, and we induce environmental impacts. We are watchers. We've had a vision here for a while. We want to do for sustainability what open source did for software. Open source revolutionized the software ecosystem. Prior to open source, the software world was closed, secretive. Sound familiar? Open source forced the world to become more transparent and more open. And it all happened through grassroots efforts. It didn't rely entirely on regulation. It transformed how software is built, and it made the world a better place. There's a lot that we can learn from the open source story. Now, the open source world has maintainers. And I've always thought, what a mundane word for such an important role. And now through Impact Framework, the sustainability world has watchers. This is truly how I believe we're going to change the world. Everybody who participates in the hackathon this year, you are all the first watchers, but I dream of a future where there are tens of thousands of us, all watching, all measuring everything. So please, if you're a watcher or want to become one, join our mailing list, which you can find in the What's Next link. You can see it there, grunsuf.org/if What's Next. And as well as other information you'll find there about some of our plans for the future. And it's also a place where you can, the community we're creating, the mailing list is where you can ask questions, connect with each other. And it's also where we're going to share important information and opportunities about Impact Framework. And let's bring all of our hosts back to the stage for a second round of applause for the winners. Hi, everyone. Namrata, Sophie. Yeah, there we go. Let's give them a clap. So Namrata, Sophie, Ashara, Russell, are there any honorable mentions that you would like to share praise for before we wrap up?
I just want to give another big shout out to our sponsors, Accenture, Amadeus, Aviva, BCG, Sentry Software, IMDA, Nedbank South Africa, and NTT Data for all the support this year, and our community partners, Electricity Maps, and Microsoft, and John Baptiste and Srini for hosting our panel discussions.
And I'd like to thank Namrata, Russell, Sophie, Ashara, and our entire production team for pulling this event together. This took a significant amount of work over many, many months, and it really shows. So thank you all for putting all of your hard work into this.
Thanks, Asim. For everyone who's watching, if you want to continue your work with us at the GSF and Impact Framework, please go to greensoft.org if-what's-next to follow along. And we're really, really happy you joined us. And thank you to everybody who participated this year.
Thank you for everybody for joining today.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.